Hello everyone, welcome to Stable and Scale, the place where you can learn and share wisdom. And I am Lakshman. Today we are going to see how to build your first .NET 6.0 web API and deploy it to cloud via Visual Studio. Without wasting any time, let's get started. Before jumping into the code, let's see the prerequisites. Number one is Visual Studio 2022. Why 2022? .NET 6.0 started supporting from 2022 on Visual Studio. The second one is any cloud subscription. On my basis, I already have a Azure subscription, so I'm going to deploy the app to web app. So now just jump into the code and start coding. Let's create our first project .NET 6.0 API. So this is the 2022. If you click, you will have a lot of options. Now what I'm gonna do is API. Let's search it. You can see a lot of options here. Now what I'm gonna do is .NET Core Web API, C Sharp. Check for it. This is C Sharp. This is F Sharp. Check for the C Sharp and next. And I'm going to change the resources. My first .NET 6 API. On the next, it lasts for the sub options. There was 6.0 with HTTP support. You can enable Docker if you need, and it is going to use the not going to use the minimal API. So we'll be discussing deep on next videos. Then create. So it will start creating the first core web API. Meanwhile, let's jump into the cloud and create the resources. So this is the stable and Azure portal. If you are familiar, it's okay. If you are new to Azure, new to creating any resources, this is how it works. So you need to create a resource group first to place all the resources. Then you can start creating what you need. Now in my purpose, I'm going to need a web app. I can search for it. It will have a lot of options, so better. Let's go to create a new resources. See, there was a web app. Just gonna click it. So now it started. So this is the first API. Defaultly it looks like. So you will have this much of information. That app settings.json, app settings.development.json, where development variables can hold here. With the default program.cs, you can see there was lot of simplified if you compare with C Sharp. On we're creating a .NET API 3.1 core, and with .NET 6 there was lot of difference you may able to find. Then this is the interface, and this is a default weather forecast. So I'm going with it. The default template. I'm going to deploy it on the cloud. So let's start building it. Meanwhile, let me create an app. So there was lot of storage accounts. Gonna create my first .NET 6 web API. So this is for your code. I need to select the stack .NET 6 LTS with Linux. I always prefer with Linux over your options. So why Linux? It makes your application very simpler and easy, and it's very it won't take that much of cost effective and consumptions. So I'm going to deploy it on Central India, where it will create. I already have a Linux web app plan with the same, so it's automatically going to it. If you need new, there was a lot of options. You can just go and select create it. So without anything, I'm gonna go with it. So it has enabled the SSLs for me, and my API is getting started. So all the review is done. Let's click create. And where you can get your Visual Studio, you can go to Visual Studio on Microsoft.com. You can directly go to download here with Community Edition for Mac. If you need any Visual Studio code, you can still do with on Visual Studio Code. So the APIs get started. I'm gonna click try out and execute. So these are the weather informations which I got, and this is, and we don't even dot configure the Swagger, right? It got started for us. You can see for development defaultly it comes up with the Swagger. So let's check this one out. 5001. That's Swagger. Oh, this is different port. Swagger. So here it comes. So now what we are going to do is, it's running, it's locally running. We are going to deploy it on the cloud with Visual Studio. So if you right click your application, there will be lot of options coming up for you. You need to select the publish. Okay, so then you can click here and add lot of profiles. What I'm going to do is going with Azure Cloud. So my app is Azure Web App for Linux. Select Linux, and I need to select my subscription and my resource. I think the app is not yet created. We need to create it. Let's wait for a few more minutes and get started with the deployment. Once it's done, we will get back. Our deployment is done, so you can see the resources get started. So let's go to Visual Studio and refresh. You can see there was a resource group called Stable and Scale. I'm gonna get .NET Web App, so I'm gonna select it, and there was no API management, so I'm gonna skip it and finish it. So it will start creating a profile for me for the deployment. So once it's done, I'm gonna close it and publish. It will start building my project and then packaging my application to the cloud. So based on the option you select on app source plan in Windows or Linux, it will display its corresponding web apps. In meanwhile, let's go and check the resources. So for debugging and other purposes of .NET 6 in the 6.0, you can start using the application insights with web app, so that you will get a lot of insights, how many hits is been happened, and you can even track the logs and errors. So it started building and deploying my application. This is a zip deployment, it's happening and it started and it is got published the package. Now the app is getting restarted. So this is our first web app using .NET 6.0 API. So let's refresh it, copy it, open it in the here. As the code states, we don't have Swagger for deployment. So what we will be doing is, there was a controller called further forecast which I need to copy. It's a http get so let me use VS Code, the new window. Let me show you one of the extension which I used for testing the API, which is Thunder Client. So with Thunder Client you can directly create requests right from here. So you can see, as this is the URL, weather forecast. So you see I got any information here, and I have added an extension called JSON viewer. So I am getting data like this. If it is not enabled, it will be a normal one. So and with this option also, just gonna click and send it. It's gonna give me the response. So it helps developers to don't for a normal APIs we can still use this option in for testing. So that comes up with how to create it, and we even deployed our API on cloud. We will have a number of options of cloud and upcoming videos with AWS and GCP and others. With this, you will be able to create your first .NET 6.0 API with Visual Studio and deploy to cloud. And if this video is sure helps you out, kindly give a thumbs up for this video and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss out any new video on upcoming weeks. Until then, I am Lakshman signing off.